Hi, it's Stephanie. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching my channel. I'm going to show you how to make an infinity scarf that is super cute, very comfy, and you can make it in less than 30 minutes, maybe faster. It's just so easy. The inspiration scarf for this was the one that I got in my Stitch Fix. If you haven't seen that, I'll go ahead and put a link to that in my description box so you can see this beautiful scarf that I got in my Stitch Fix box. So it's an infinity scarf, which means it doesn't have an ending. So it goes like that. And I just love it. I just love it. So it looks like this. One big circle. Can you see that? So I hacked it. I basically measured it and just examined it and copied exactly that. My first scarf was my tester, was this one. And it's just some fabric that I had in my stash. The secret to the fabric is this fabric looks just as good on both sides. We'll find an end. So whether it's this side or this side, it looks as good. So I found some stash fabric that was the same. It looked just as good on both sides. And it was something I already had, so I just copied the measurements and I made this. So this is a silky light, oh, I just love this. It's a silky light kind of see-through fabric. And I thought, oh, this would make a good Christmas present. And so I made one for everyone in my family, but I decided to make nice warm ones. So this is the one that I'm going to show you how to make. This is fabric that I got at the fabric store, and where you find this in the fabric store, it's just a bunch of plaids they had together, but man, they had these sprinkled throughout in other areas, so it's not just one spot. What I would say is touch and feel everything. Look for fabrics that look as good on both sides. If it doesn't look as good on both sides, it won't make a good infinity scarf. So that's the one thing. It just has to look good on both sides. It could be any fabric that you like. I was going for super soft. It's my thing. I like soft things. So this is the one that we're going to make today. Now I feel like this could be worn by a girl or a boy. And so everyone in my family is getting one of these. Oh, it's so soft and so warm. So would you like to know how to make this? Super quick and super easy. I would definitely say that this is for beginners. It's a beginner skill set. That's all you need is a sewing machine. I'm going to take you through the whole process and all the supplies and show you how I make this really fast and easy. So here we go. The materials you'll need to make this scarf are 2 yards of your favorite fabric, and then you'll need some thread. You'll need a tape measure, some scissors, your ironing board, and your sewing machine. This is so fast and easy, and the scarves turn out beautiful. So basically the measurement's going to depend on the size of your fabric. This fabric is 29 times 2, that's how wide it is. So that's 58. So this is 58 wide. 58 wide would be, right here would be too bulky. So I'm going to cut this in half and have 2 scarves out of this 2 yards. So this piece of fabric will make 2 scarves. So basically, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this in half, and that's going to be the length of my scarf. So the 2 yards is the length. So that's the length. So that's going to be the coming down and then going back around. So I'm going to cut this in half and make 2 scarves. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So first, let's cut it in half. I'm just going to go right down the fold line and cut it. That makes it super easy. Okay, now I have 2 pieces of fabric. 2 very long pieces of fabric. Now, one of the reasons I chose this is because it's super soft, super soft. And it is so cute on both sides. Like, it is such a good pattern no matter which side I turn it on. It is really hard to tell which is the front and which is the back. So you kind of get to decide. I'm kind of feeling like this is the inside. And so sometimes I'll mark that with a pen. But on this fabric, it's not going to matter. It's totally not going to matter. But if you have one side that's just a little bit better than the other side, make that your front and make the other your back. But you want for this scarf to have a piece of fabric that looks just as good on the wrong side as it does on the right side, or it just won't work. The first thing that we're going to do is turn under a small edge here. Now this becomes, because we're turning it this way, this becomes the wrong side of this fabric. This particular fabric looks the same on both sides. It really does. It feels the same, it looks the same. But if your fabric has one side that's slightly better than the other, then make that the right side and make your not so great side the inside, the wrong side. But you really want to pick fabrics that do look the same on both sides. So if it's a struggle, then just pick a side and that becomes your wrong side. So turn it under. This fold over edge is really small, maybe something about the size of a ½ inch. Doesn't have to be measured perfectly, but you want to go ahead and iron that down. Okay, and just do that all the way down the long side of both sides of your scarf. Okay, here's our folded edge that we ironed and made nice little edge here. So now we're going to sew as close to this edge as we can get. All right, so you want to put this in and get it as close as you can. So kind of find a mark maybe on your presser foot or maybe on your machine that's going to get you really close, but you still want to not go off the edge here. Get it really close but not go off the edge. See what that's going to look like right here. Nice little close to the edge there. Can you see it? That's perfect. Okay, let's do that all the way down both sides. Now we sewed our stitch right close to the edge, and now we're going to trim to that stitch right here. Ready? Here we go. See? Be careful not to cut any of your stitches or cut through to the bottom layer of the fabric. Just trim off this little edge right here. And do that all the way down. That's why I like these little scissors. They're so great for that. These are Fiskars. You can get them any Joann's supply store. Okay, we're going to trim on both sides and then I'm going to show you what to do next. So here's the edge that we stitched and trimmed. See how close I got it to the edge there? So now we're going to take that and we're going to fold it this way. And now we're going to iron this so that we'll have something flat to stitch. So take your iron and just iron that down. So you'll want to do that along the whole long edge of both sides, and then I'll show you what we're going to do next. So here's our stitched and trimmed edge, and turned and folded and ironed. Now we're going to stitch this really close to the edge, but probably just right on top of your original stitch line, especially if you can see it. So go ahead and find that spot. And if you're a beginner and you're new and you're having trouble getting that close to the edge, use a zigzag stitch. That won't even show in this pattern, so that'll just catch the whole thing. I'm going to use a straight stitch myself. Say that 5 times. Straight stitch. Okay, here we go. See how that's looking. That's looking pretty good. So you're going to finish off both of the long sides of your scarf. It's coming together. So now we have our finished edge. Isn't that nice? This is what it looks like on the inside. I just love it. That's awesome. So now we're going to do the short side, which is going to make our scarf into that infinity, the circle. So we're going to take the edges and sew them together. Now here is something that's going to be tricky. At least it's tricky to me. It's called a French seam, and what it does is it hides the seam, and it's great when you don't want your seam to show and you want it just to be all tucked in. So let me show you how that works. It works by doing pretty much the opposite of what your instincts tell you to do. You would normally put right sides together to make a seam. We're going to put wrong sides together. So see, this is the side that we sewed and tucked under. That's the wrong side. We're putting them together, okay? And we're going to sew a seam all the way across. All right, let's sew it. So this is our edge. This is the end of the scarf, and we're going to sew them together. Again, this is the right side, and this is the wrong side. So wrong sides together, right sides are out. So it doesn't really matter how big this seam is because we are going to trim it. I will probably just make it the size of my presser foot. That's just easy measurement right there. Straight stitch, and here we go. Keep these matched up. You could pin this if you wanted to make sure. Now I'm getting close to the end, and I want to make sure that these two edges are perfect next to each other. And it doesn't always work out. It's going to be pretty close. But if it wasn't, I would hold them together, and even if I had to have a bump at the end, I would have a bump at the end rather than have these not match, because they want to match. All right, here we go. Okay, so make sure they're matching up. And if you end up having some excess right here, just let it bump up at the end, but keep these together. It'll just look better, you'll see. Looks like I'm gonna have a little bump, see it right there? So don't worry about that. Okay, so there we have our edge. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to trim this close to the stitch line. Not super close, maybe about there. So we'll trim that, and then we're going to do the next step. Here's that edge that we just stitched, and this is the one that makes the whole scarf a circle. So it comes to this, now it's one big circle. That's the infinity part. And so now we're going to go ahead, we have our right sides on the outside of the seam and our wrong sides are together. So that's the opposite of what you normally are going to do when you're sewing a seam. This is going to be kind of hidden, as it's called a French seam. Let's trim it really close to the stitching. And we'll just do that all the way across. Now we've trimmed this seam, and what we're going to do now is we're going to press it open. So now we're going to press this seam open. Now be careful, don't burn your fingers. It's not like I haven't done that a bunch of times. I will not be responsible if you burn your fingers. So you want to do that all the way across. Okay? This is what we ironed open. So now that's nice and flat. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this and turn it in right. Okay, so now this is the right side, and we're going to put the wrong sides together. So it's the opposite. And we're going to sort of fold that right where that, we ironed it open, so it should find that seam nice and easy, and kind of flatten it. And now let's put some pins in it. We're going to sew this. Just kind of roll it around until you get that seam right there. So pin it the whole way. And then what we're going to do is we're going to sew it right there. Okay? So here's the seam that we pinned. Now what we're going to do is we're going to encase the seam basically. And so we want to sew it, this is where we trimmed it to about right here, so we want to sew it at least to right here. We don't want it too big because it's going to show on the inside, but we want it nice and tight but not too close. So probably right about there. I would say about the length of my presser foot. So what is that? A little more than a ½ an inch maybe. Yeah, I can feel it. You can feel it, so you want to get close to that. Okay, so pull out the pins before you get to them. You don't want to hit a pin. that's looking really good. All right, let's keep going. So now this becomes part of the inside. Remember, this is our wrong side. See? So now this is part of the wrong side. So let's see what it looks like on the right side. So the right side and the wrong side. Right side, wrong side. So that's the French seam. It hides the whole raw edge. It's just encased in there, and so I love that. So now let me try it on for you. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to make an infinity scarf quick and easy, super fast, super fun. It's a great beginner project, or if you need a couple of gifts, this is a great gift. And it's something you want to keep one for yourself every time because you'll just love it. Oh, I love this. It's so soft. I want to keep petting it. This is my infinity scarf. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.